Then this is very important because if you talk about governance, we need to define, quantify, and we need a scorecard. What exactly is happening in Africa? This is a mirror we're putting in front of Africa to record exactly what is happening, an objective measure of the achievement of government, something where the civil society can have a substantial discussion with the government based on data.
Drawing upon 17 years worth of data for all 54 African countries, the index gives access to over 200,000 data points capable of providing valuable insight to governments and citizens alike. Of course, these data are not static, and in response to the constantly moving nature of governance performance, this 11th iteration of the index is specifically focused on assessing trends over the last 5 years within the context of the last decade. Looked at in this way, we notice that whilst a particular area might show an improvement over the 10 years, when looking at the last 5 years at a more granular level, a different or more specific story emerges. For example, the subcategory has improved over the last 10 years, but looking closely at the recent 5 years, we can see progress has almost stopped.
It's really important to look at the process of progress or otherwise of every country. Countries don't change overnight, and we have also to look at the dynamics. So by looking at a number of years, we can really trace the movement of a country performance, how education is improving, what is the situation about women's rights, or what happened with the infrastructure. With over 200,000 points of data, one can really build a picture about the direction of movement of each country. It's not just an instant picture of where we are, but where we are coming from, and hopefully to understand where we might go.
Examining and comparing 5 years within 10 has led us to develop a set of trend classifications which now accompany the published data. For example, this graph, which tracks Angola's level of sustainable economic opportunity, displays a warning signs classification. As you can see, whilst Angola has improved over the last 10 years, decline in the last 5 is threatening to reverse this progress. In other words, showing warning signs. In safety and rule of law, Madagascar displays a bouncing back classification. Having declined over a decade, improvement in the last 5 years indicates signs of Madagascar bouncing back. Other areas might present increasing deterioration or slowing deterioration. There are 6 trend classifications in total, which can be applied to all countries and groups at all levels of the index, from the categories and subcategories, right down to the indicators.
There's some warning signs we can see in the data. The one alarm bell that really concerns me is the issue of education, because after achieving some progress for a number of years, in the last 5 years, when we need to intensify our education and training of our young people, we appear to be stalling or retreating, and that is a major alarm bell in my view. Another one is rural sector in Africa. Again, 50% of our population live on and off the land. Agriculture is very important for our economy, and we notice a deterioration in the rural sector. I'm a little bit concerned also about the apparent tightening of the space for civil society. We see more and more attacks on the civil society, and some governments see civil society as if it is an opposition parties. It is not, and we need a change of behavior there. I still remain quite optimistic. I hate to move between these two extreme scenarios, Africa basket case, Africa rising. I think we need to be realistic about what's happening in Africa. Africa, 54 countries, various things happening in Africa. Some of them positive, some of them negative. But For example, over the last 10 years, 40 countries have improved in governance. That is fantastic. 40 out of 54 countries. I mean, that is positive. We see that in participation, etc., people are also improving. Gender has improved. Infrastructure, well, except electricity, but infrastructure in general has improved. So there are a lot of things are improving in Africa, but as I said, there are also some negative things, and we need to have that really balanced picture about Africa. Some countries moving forward, some countries standing still, few countries are backtracking. That's what we need really to understand about Africa. In general, I'm optimistic. We are moving forward, and we need to quicken our pace.
To view the data in more detail, go to mo.ibrahim.foundation and click on Explore Data to visit the data portal, or download the report and view key findings.